Some of you guys have only been here a few days. You were in jail for one day. You escaped the second day. You traveled through the land of elms for the third day. The fourth day, you arrived at the Cottage of Lost Play. And you met someone. We kind of flew through this because it was late, but you met someone in the woods named Ilfrin, whom some people know him as Littleheart. I think one or two of you knew him as Littleheart, and he seems to be kind of like a sentient, like he can talk, fox, like a celestial fox of some sort. You don't really know. I can show you a picture of what he looks like. For those of you who, for Christian specifically, so he looks like this right now. Is that showing up for everyone? Okay. And he leads you to the Cottage of Lost Play. Yeah, it's a badass picture. And when you arrive, these two people, Lindo, who is the male, and Vairë, who is his wife, and they're Talbor and Noldoran. So you can tell anytime you look at one of my elf tokens, what kind of elf you're looking at. If they have white hair, they're a Talbor elf. Those are the elves of the sea. And the Noldor have dark hair, and the Noldor are the MJ's characters in Noldor elf, and those are the ones that know how to make things, right? They made the Silmarils and the Rings of Power. And their headquarters, so to speak, is on where the gods live. So, like on the main continent of Aman.
Which were the ones that imprisoned us?
Well, they were the elite guard of the Talbor regent. So most of the Talbor elves that you've met here have been totally fine. Remember when most of you ended up in the prison, they replaced the Talbor elves that were typically working prison duty with the elite guard. Remember, I mentioned that.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Also known as assholes.
Assholes, yeah. And the elite guard were hand selected by the regent, so that has something to do with that. You think?
Yeah. He's the head of all the asshole elves.
Exactly. So you guys you're coming through what looks to be like a farm, and you're basically you're kind of very central on the island, and you see all of these kids, and I made you roll some perception checks, and you realize that these kids are Atani. They're Idine. They're human. They're not elves. These are the first humans that you've seen here on the island, and you realize that they were spirits. Whoa. And so you're not exactly sure what's going on with that. But although if you read my blog entry that I wrote about Feredir, you might have some idea. And I think actually
one of them looked like Feredir.
One of them looked like Feredir as a child. Yes. And so Vic actually Vic's character knows what's going on. If he would like to share, what this place is and how these children came to be here. Some of you also have the lore card. If you look in the lore section under current session, definitely browse those so that you can share the knowledge when one of these topics comes up.
Okay.
So Cottage of Lost Play is there. Land of Elms is there. Trying to think of what else. I think that's about it right now.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the second one?
Land of Elms is the place that you just traveled, the forest that you just traveled through, and the Cottage of Lost Play is where you are now.
It was formerly known as the Cottage of Children and Cottage of Play of Sleep.
And you remember, Vic, your character, you came to Erisea a very specific way, and you woke up here.
Yeah, because of Tom, or was it Goldberry that sent me here?
Yeah, you went to Tom and Goldberry's house, and you basically went to sleep there, and woke up here, and so you think maybe this has something to do with dreams, that these kids are here in their dreams, or were here in their dreams at some point in their lives. Okay. Okay. Like I said, some of these things this is like total Tolkien. I didn't make this stuff up. I know it might seem like I did, but some of this stuff is pretty touchy-feely. It's very early on in the mythos that he was creating. All right. So you come and Lindo and Vairë welcome you to the Cottage of Lost Play, and they're very happy to see Littleheart, who they haven't seen in a while. And the children all run out to greet you. And so Lindo comes over and he says, "Welcome to the Lonely Isle. You must be the Nos Glanador," which means, if you've heard people refer to you as that before, MJ would tell you that it means the Fellowship of Light.
I sure would.
What's that?
I sure would.
So he says, "You must be the Nos Glanador that the children have told me about. I see you have already met Ilfrin. Vairë and I are the keepers of the children. It is here that your kin come in their dreams to witness the light of man. Littleheart here, as the children call him, is the Gong Warden. He calls the children to sup and for stories." He says, and he looks at Riken and Feredir, and he says, "I dare say I recognize you, Riken and Feredir, and you are just as I would have imagined." And then he looks at Riken again and says, "More or less." And what's that? Maybe, but he also might be like, "Yeah, that's true," And so he says, what does he say? He says, "And now you've come back to us outside of Dream in a time of great calamity, for this is the first time Eressëa has been clouded in fear and shadow. Am I right to imagine that these two coincidences are related? The fact that you guys are visiting and the fact that Eressëa is now in shadow and fear?" He says, tell us your tale and how you came to be in Eressëa." He said, "Normally, Littleheart would," and if you look to the top of the map, Littleheart is the Gong Warden here, and he would sound the gong of Tombo. The gong actually has a name. His name Tombo, and he would ring the gong, but his mallet has been stolen. And they look to the bard and they say, "Okrin, would you be willing to sing a song to bring the kids in for story time?"
Of course. I'll create a song of a little story, or you know what? It's going to be bringing the kids, so I won't get so shadowy with the song. So I'm sure I've been here before and probably played them some music, right? Or when I was here last.
Yep.
So why don't I do something that they like to bring them in, and I'll break out some performance skill.
Yeah, do that.
Pay the bill.
Awesome. All right. So that you guys and you don't have to move your tokens on the map. You kind of see the layout here. You guys will all sort of go into a room for story time, and this is apparently a really big deal here at the Cottage of Lost Play. They only sound the gong for two reasons: to eat and for story time at night. And so they want you to come in and basically tell your tale. So does someone want to take a stab at like a brief synopsis of how you came to be here?
Oh, geez.
No one, huh?
Well, the first part of it, they could. It would have to be one of these guys that tells it, because I don't know their story. The only part I know is from Riken landing outside of the portal and him telling me his part. But if these guys wanted to say tell my bard bits and pieces, I could throw something together and do a little performance for the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
or strum my lute in the back while somebody tells the story.
Yeah, let's say that you tell them the story, right? That that there was a shadow that came from the void. That you guys assembled these items, right? This ritual was performed. That okay, I got it, Spriggs. And that okay, so Spriggs and Christian don't want to talk because Emery's sleeping, and Marco It has his mic muted because his girlfriend has some friends over. So that's cool. I'll just kind of summarize it. So again, items, ritual, bad thing from the void, portal to Tol Eressëa. One person came to Tol Eressëa. The rest of you kind of, for various reasons, some of you would share, some of you wouldn't, about why you're sort of here. And at the end of it, you know, let's see, what does he say? He says, so you say the Seeing Stone of Avalone has been stolen, because you would obviously tell him that the new Palantiri from Avalone has been stolen. He says, would you think that the Shadow is seeking to do something similar here that they did in Middle Earth? You mentioned a ritual and an open portal. And Lindo and Vairë kind of look at each other and they're like, wow, a portal to where now, I wonder? And they start like getting a little nervous, and they say, but our kin Arendio watches over the door of night. That way is impossible. And they just kind of like trail off. And at this point, Marco, you hear your sword whisper to you again, Talbor, Talbor.
When they're talking about the Shadow and the person that you say Elendil?
No, Arendio.
Elendil watching the night gate. I said anything is possible. We should take all precautions. If you know something, perhaps we should deliver word, or notes.
So one of the little girls, the human girls, says, as she hears all of this, it doesn't appear that any of the kids are scared in the slightest by any of this, but she says that I've seen a shadow pass this way not too long ago.
There you go.
He was headed to the west, to the great tower on the hill. And Lindo and Vairë.
What's the tower?
Lindo and Vairë, and actually Okran would know this too because he's been there. It's Kortirion. And so Lindo and Vairë would say, do they know who Talbor? Oh, okay. So one thing at a time. So they would tell you that Kortirion is basically run by the Vanyar elves. The elves. So the Vanyar are the third group of elves here in Tol Eressëa that, and there are other elves here too, right? There are Sindarin elves and things, but the three main groups that kind of occupied most of Aman, the Blessed Realm, before everyone started coming back over, were the Vanyar, the Teleri, and the Noldor. And so the Vanyaran elves are called spear elves, and they're the fairest and the blonde. They have golden hair like Galadriel. And Galadriel was she had all different kinds of. She was a kind of a mutt, an elf mutt, but she was Noldor, but she had some Vanyaran relatives, and that's where she got her golden hair from. And so these Vanyar elves consider themselves the high elves, or sort of like the top elves. They live closest in proximity to the Valar, and they actually had a little settlement here called Kortirion. It was a great gray tower built on a hill, modeled after their main city Tirion on the continent of Aman next door. And it's the keeper is someone named Merrill, who Okran has met, and so they say that the shadow has passed that way.
And you saw the shadow when?
Lindo and Vairë say it's not. You can't ask the children that come here about temporal questions. Time has no meaning to them here.
Oh, okay. I tell them what happened. And so basically, when I was investigating the appearance of the shadow in the area, I made it up to Kortirion, and I met. Hold on, what's her name again? Meryl.
Meryl, correct.
Yeah. So I met with Meryl, and I became quite acquainted with her handmaidens, and super acquainted. And I'd like to be reacquainted with them. We should go see. But there was a shadow. The shadow had passed through there, and they had almost been, I guess, possessed. But I spent nearly a week there reviving many of their fallen comrades.
How far away is Kortirion?
They say that you could reach Kortirion in probably like a day and a half if you traveled straight there.
Is the road dangerous?
They say that lately everything has been dangerous in the woods. Let's see, what else can they tell you? So let me ask. Some of you have asked other questions too.
Marco was asking if they knew who Talbor was.
Okay, so let me do Christians first, just because it's related. Riken would ask them if the shadow interacted with any of them at all, and Lindo and Vairë, they say that this place is a protected space, and that no evil can come near this cottage or Tambo, the Gong, and that no, the shadow would not have passed near here, but that a child obviously had seen it pass at some point. You think recently, not sure. And to answer Feredir's question, so Marco asked, and so Marco's been hearing his sword ever since the end of the last campaign whisper a word to him, and I'll type it in. It's actually a lore card, I believe. If somebody wants to look it up. I think Okran again would have very, very specific memories of what this is. If Vic, you could share that with everybody.
Yeah, sorry, I was distracted by the wife with something. Can you? What is it you want me to describe?
So go to your lore card. So Feredir would say, my sword keeps mentioning this word Talbor, and so he doesn't know exactly what it means. So if you could help him with that.
Yeah, Talbor. Tavrabel?
No. Take a look at Stone of the Hapless.
Stone of the Hapless. Okay.
And you have very specific memories of this.
Talbor, yeah. Talbor is the Stone of the Hapless.
Yes.
So it's the burial place. Yeah, I was there. It was and I start telling him about it, I guess, because since I was there, the burial place of Turambar and his mother Morwen. After the flood of Beleriand, it is now called Tol Morwen. Why do you ask?
So I don't know. Marco, can you talk or not really? What did he say? Not really. Okay. So I guess Feredir would say my sword keeps saying the word Talbor, and it has been for a while. And he says, I think it wants me to go there, and so Okran would tell us some vivid memories of Turambar and how Okran was actually the court minstrel of Thingol. Thingol lived in a protected wooded area called Doriath, and he and his wife Melian, they had a daughter named Luthien, and she married the first time a human and an elf married. That was Baron and Luthien, Thingol's daughter and son-in-law. But later, Thingol became the foster father to someone named Turambar, and later he was killed after he killed the dragon, and he killed the dragon actually up on a high ravine overlooking a river, and he took his own life after, and his burial place, and also the burial place of his mother came to find his dead body, and she also passed away and died of grief. They buried them both, and it's called the Stone of the Hapless, and also referred to as in the words of ancient men, Talbor. And after Balerians, remember the land of the First Age, when they battled Morgoth, it just damaged the land so much that it basically sunk the land under the ocean. But it Tol Morwen, which is named after his mother, Tol meaning islands, Morwen, Turin's mother. Tol Morwen is one of 3 places that is sticking up above the water after the flood. Everybody clear on that? So what would you ask them about the Stone of the Hapless in Talbor?
If he says that the sword wants him to go there, that's by means that I'm aware of impossible.
They say, well, nothing is impossible. Lindo and Vairë say, unlikely, but not impossible. If you are interested in finding out more about this, I would definitely go to Kortirion. Kortirion in Kortirion there's a great library of the Vanyar. The Golden Book is kept there, which has some lore and some strange arcane traditions, and they look at each other and they say possibly some rituals is kept at Kortirion.
This is what started everything. Though, perhaps it's what can end everything.
Good call.
So
Not rituals.
not rituals. No. So under handouts, under miscellaneous, I have a quests journal, and you all should have access to it. Let me see. No. Okay, so I'm gonna give everybody access to it now, and so you can all edit this. So you're gonna receive a few things. I would suggest writing down these things because you'll forget. So Feredir thinks that his sword wants him to go to the Stone of the Hapless, where Turin is buried. You guys are seeking the library at Kortirion. They mentioned the Golden Book. You guys, what else are you doing along the way? You're chasing the shadow, but anything else? Anything to do with the regent, or I mean, is there anything that happened last time that you want to sort of? I don't know. This is your quest journal, so feel free. So you're seeking the library of Kortirion. They have something there called supposedly the Golden Book, and then you're obviously trailing the shadow, or the Man in Black, or whatever, right? Did that diagram that I put in chat help, like, delineate who is who? Okay. All right, and so
We're looking for the main stone or something like that.
the Master Palantir exactly has been stolen. So that's another thing exactly.
Okay.
So Lindo and Vairë would also tell you another thing. They would say, he says, the reason people are calling you Nos Glanador is because that they think that there have been a couple of prophecies stated by Mandos. He's a Valar of basically death. When you've heard of the halls of Mandos, right, where the elves die and go to stay until the end of days. There's this guy Mandos has made a few prophecies, and his second prophecy has to do with kind of the end of the world. And so Lindo and Vairë would say, I don't remember it explicitly, but there are plenty of historians here, and I would definitely, if you go to Kortirion, I would definitely ask Meryl about the prophecy of the second prophecy of Mandos. And MJ, you would know about the first prophecy of Mandos all too well. It had to do with the kinslaying and Feanor, and how the the Noldor elves basically killed their brothers over the Silmarils.
Yeah.
So
I know that too well.
yeah. You don't need to concern yourself with the first prophecies. It's the second, specifically the second prophecy of Mondos. I would put this in the quest journal too because it's going to be very, very important. So this is your time at the Cottage of Lost Play. You're free to ask them anything else, but I hope for the most part this has kind of oriented you a little bit and explained some things. Any questions for me or for Lindo and Vairë?
So in the quest journal, I put that some lady's watching the dark door all the time. What's the some lady's name again?
It's not. It's a. So remember when Galadriel said, "Here's the light of Arendil, our most beloved star." Arendil, MJ would explain. His character would explain that Arendil has one of the only. So there are 3 Silmarils. 2 of them are lost. The only known Silmaril is in Arendil has it, and he has it on his ship, Vingalot, as it travels the heavens, and he is the guard of the Door of Night. Now remember, the Door of Night is the only place that you can come in from the void. And guess who's out in the void? We all know this.
The shadow?
Melkor or Morgoth, right? The big
Morgoth,
bad.
right.
Sauron's. So Sauron was only a Maiar, and his Valar, who he served, was Morgoth. So the big bad. In fact, he's the most powerful of all the Valar.
Oh, and he's the bad guy. That'd be great.
And he's the bad guy. Correct. All right. And so Arendil...
Power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly. Okay. So let me check out your quest journal and see what you've written down here. All right. To Kortirion is a golden book in the library. May have rituals to get us to Talbor, Stone of the Hapless. Trailing a shadow. Looking for the Master Palantiri. Arendil, I'll correct the spelling of that here for you. It's spelled E-A-R, E-N-D-I-L. Arendil is watching the dark world.
I was just getting phonetic.
Yep. All right, cool. So are we clear about where you're traveling next?
Yeah, we're going to
Kortirion.
Kortirion, thank you.
All right, awesome. You have a few reasons to go to Kortirion.
Did you say we should find a historian there to tell us about the second prophecy of Mondos?
And her name is
nice.
Meryl.
Meryl.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk to Meryl. Meryl's cool.
Pillow talk.
Yeah. She's not going to be the one that got away.
All right. So you guys know... the other thing... Littleheart would ask you before you depart. So let's do a long rest here. So make sure you're all healed up. You got all your spell slots back. You're going to need them. You got your action surge back there, Marco. So you rest at the Cottage of Lost Play, and before you leave, Littleheart asks you if it's possible. This probably should go in your quest journal. If you find my mallet, I would appreciate if you brought it back to me.
Okay, so what's his name? Littlefoot?
Littleheart.
Littlefoot is from
the
Oh, jeez.
So you guys are heading. This isn't the Care Bears. You guys are heading west, essentially. Sometimes you go, it's not straight west, but let's see here. Marco, he says in the Hangouts he wrote, if we are building towards the Daggereth, I am super excited. Well, wouldn't that be fitting, Marco? Yes, so you'll find more out about the Daggereth. All right, so you guys are traveling. I would say let's put yourself in travel order.
Everybody has 13 temp hit points. Before we left for breakfast, I told them all a tale that inspired them.
Okay. So let's, before we get too far, you are traveling for a day before you get to this map. So we'll have everybody do another Blighted Lands check. Marco, you need to do 2, and pay special attention to your trauma, which I think gives you either disadvantage or half as many shadow points or something. But it's a Wisdom save DC 15.
Do I get bonuses because I'm an Asimar, like for saves?
Nothing comes to mind. So keep in mind, as you know, in order to sort of play your character, you're an Azamar, but you're actually technically a Maiar, right? In this game, and so in order to play a Maiar, what we said is you've been around people for so long and away from the Blessed Realm so long, you actually become like a weakened Azamar or a weakened Maiar.
Okay, well I failed that miserably.
So most people did. Okay, it looks like Feredir. I don't think you have disadvantage. I could be wrong. I don't remember your trauma, but I think you have half the number of shadow points or something stupid. I don't know. If that sounds familiar, he'll let me know.
Hey, because of a full rest, shouldn't we all be at full health?
You should be at full health. All of you should be at full health. And Marco, what'd you say, MJ?
Like Feredir and Burren out at full health. I can change it, but I just wanted to double check.
Okay, they can bring him back up. I think as we go. If they don't, well, you know.
No, I want them to.
Marco, Vic says everyone gets 13 temp hit points. You can put that in the blue circle. If you click on your token, there are 3 circles. We generally use the red for hit points, the green for armor class, and the blue for like temporary hit points. A lot of times.
Oh, cool.
Joe, do you have a suggestion where to put the shadow points? I was putting them in the blue.
I just put. Oh, you can do that, or you can put them in your character sheet. So I was going to remind Marco because he wasn't here for this. So Marco, you remember in Adventures of Middle Earth when period you would sort of shed those shadow points. Well, because we're not doing that, and because we're doing sort of traditional short rest, long rests, you're going to have one opportunity to shed shadow points in this campaign, in these 10 weeks, and that's week 6 when you're with the elves celebrating, and so week 6 you guys will get to shed any shadow points, but you know there's multiple days of travel before then. Okay, so go ahead and put yourself in sort of travel order, and you guys can. I'll tell you when to stop if you start moving, but let's just put ourselves in order first. If Burn is going first, good, yeah. So you can go right up to the bridge, and let's see. You could be next to someone if you want to. It's fine. It doesn't have to be single file, but it's possible to ford the river if you don't want to go over the bridge. At this point, you have no reason to think anything ill of the bridge.
Well, there's a perfectly good bridge here. Let's
Nobody
go
wants to
around
cross it. We're all kind of clustering there.
Yeah, so you guys you make it about half. If you're going to take the bridge, you guys will make it about halfway. Burn, you're basically on top, almost where the shore is on the other side. When the shit goes down, so go ahead and let's.
It's almost like we know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Why is Tessero bigger than Riken?
Let's see here. We'll shrink you down a little bit. How's that?
Nice.
All right.
Also, I realized I actually do have a advantage on initiative. So should I roll 2 or?
There is something in your character sheet to roll an advantage on your initiative. Some other people played with it. I thought we fixed that. No.
You probably did for them, but I just realized today. Oh wait, her initiative save options.
Marco says, I just roll twice, and then you guys, that's fine too, if you just want to roll twice, and then I think you can actually change your own score in the turn order, which is dangerous, but you can do it.
Okay, cool. Nice.
All right. So you guys are heading mostly west. What's that?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Oh, okay, here we go. Initiative. Okay, 21.
All right. Do I need to resort here? Yeah. There we go. All right. So Okran got the high roll, and so I'm gonna say we'll just instead of making you all roll, I'm gonna say because Okran's first in the turn order, Okran starts to see some bubbly water down to the left of the bridge, and let's get some good battle music here. Here we go.
So I say that. I say, I see bubbly water to the left of the bridge.
All right. So Okran, something that looks a lot like. Let's see here.
Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to cast that. Something looks like.
Yeah, I was going to show you here. Under handouts. Here. Oh, no, the enemy current session. No, Vic and John rules. So you guys see something that looks like this shoot out of the water.
Oh, jeez, that
And
doesn't look good.
It is ginormous.
Oh, boy.
Well, could be worse.
So, guys, let's do this. Let's see. So it lets out a cone that can hit everybody. I'm going to say Okran, Morloman, and Zelindor are spared from this because you're on the decline of the bridge. But everybody else, Feredir, Tessero, Burin, and Riken, I need you to make a dexterity save, DC 18. This thing lets out something like it looks like acid. Ooh, Burin, nice.
Balls.
All right. So everybody that got under 18 takes 39 acid damage.
Wow.
Jeez.
And unfortunately, Burin's not raging yet. And everybody else takes half that. So it just spews, like it has tentacles coming out of its mouth, and it just spews this acid in a cone. And it gets most of you guys, Okran, Morloman, and Zelindor, you see this like toxic fluid fly over the top of the bridge.
Okay.
Here, so 3,
So,
6.
do they recharge? Because I am going to do cast this. Oops. Where the hell is it?
Okay, it's its turn is not going. Its turn is not. Oh, right. 1, 2. So his turn's not quite over. So you can do that.
Okay.
You can do that in just a second. So let's have somebody, whoever's a glutton for punishment, roll a 1, 2, 3. Roll a 1d8. 8 doesn't count. All right, Christian rolled a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Feredir. Let's see here. How does this work?
Change my plan then.
All right, let me see here. Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. All right. All right. So make an athletics check. In this case, no. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, that's very good. All right, so Feredir, you feel yourself being lifted off of the bridge, but you like grab on and you manage to hold on and fight it. But it's like there's nothing touching you. You have acid on you, but like you're literally being lifted off the bridge by nothing. It feels almost like the wind is hitting you in very specific places and pulling you off the ground. All right, so now go ahead and do your thing, Okrin.
Okay, so it's Bear's endurance. Target has advantage on Constitution checks. It also gains 2d6 temporary hit points, and I reach over to Feredir and I touch him with that.
Okay, awesome.
His temp hit points are gone now, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep. So he can't stack that. So I'll give him another 10.
Awesome.
Then I could reach out and touch him, so I'm going to move away from them now. I'm going to go to the other side of this bridge here, but I could still see that thing, right? As long as I have sight from here.
You weren't hit by the acid, so I'm going to say, let's see if you do. No, you don't have sight of it from where you are. You can move to a place where you do have sight of it.
I'm going to go where it doesn't have sight of me also. So right there for now.
Okay, so when you moved, you were right here.
Yep.
Let's see what happens here.
Does it reach?
He does. Is a 10-foot reach.
Oh, well, okay.
All right, what's your armor class?
17, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, so you take 21 bludgeoning damage.
Ouch.
And 10 psychic damage. And I need you to make a...
Hold on, so that's 31?
Oh, yeah, hold on one second. So, oh, wow, interesting. Yeah, so a tentacle comes out of his mouth, and as you start to leave, it grabs a hold of you, and I need you to make a strength save, DC 18.
I'm not going to make that. I got credit. Nope.
Okay. It swallows you.